Season 2! Who's going to give up first? Dang it.
Definitely. Okay, both of you need to drink after you clink your glasses, otherwise it's bad.
Okay, well, I'm going to drink mine right now. Please excuse
And my Irishness can't handle it anymore.
Please excuse the sound. All right, guys. Welcome back.
Oh, man.
To Beyond the Basement, the complete Attack on Titan podcast where we hastily get you into the action. I'm one of your hosts, Eric.
My name is Peter.
Peter over here.
And I'm Rachel.
And together, with our powers combined, we bring you Season 2, Episode 1, The Beast.
Dun, dun,
And let me tell you, this
dun.
one is a beast of an episode. So let's get right into the recap here, and let us talk about the deeper things
The Beast Titan.
after the recap.
And it's not Marshawn Lynch they're referencing.
No.
Though it could have been.
Though, okay, so I know I said I was going to get right into this, but seriously, if you guys don't watch live, so Facebook, Sunday nights, usually around 9 o'clock, though today's a Monday, generally,
At
that's
some
when we
random
live stream the
time.
show, so you need to join because there's extra stuff that goes on beforehand that's hilarious and awesome, so join us for that, facebook.com/beyondthebasementpodcast. Also, I rename every episode, we rename every episode into something more clever. Last one, I didn't rename it this, but it should have been Like a Rock.
Yes.
You know, because she's in a rock. Anyway, this one
girl.
is titled Beast Mode.
Yes.
Not as clever as others,
Perfect.
but I mean, come on.
Let's
Give
go.
us credit for that. Okay, so quick recap. Basically, we get just a little bit of footage here of what's happened right after we've discovered Annie is locked away in this crystal forever. So they're like, okay, she's locked away. They're going to have to cart her off. They see the Titan face in the wall. They're freaking out. And then get the weird pastor dude who's like, oh no, cover it up. Don't let sunlight touch this thing. So we get just a little bit of that, and then it cuts back and it rewinds 12 hours. So then we start watching most of this episode concurrent, basically, with the plan to get Annie. The plan to hijack Annie and capture her is sort of unfolding at about the same time as the events of this episode. Most of the events of this episode. So it begins with the scouts. They're like inside of Walrose. I can't remember.
Walrose.
Yeah, they're inside Walrose, and they're looking bored. And suddenly they hear footsteps for Titans. And they're like, oh my gosh, we gotta get out of here because we gotta go tell people the wall has been compromised. And so they go off on their mission, or they send off on their mission, and as they do, the leader of the guy who's guarding the scouts at this time is Miche. Miche gets sent off. Well, doesn't send off. He goes off on his own to try and basically take out a few Titans to help the rest of the scouts, who many of whom are unarmed right now, don't even have ODM gear, so they can go tell the rest of the wall that. The rest of the interior, rather, that the wall's been compromised. So, yeah. So they ride off into the distance. Miche is left to kind of defend against some Titans. He kills one. And as he does, he notices a large abnormal Titan. And that Titan does weird crap, including talking.
And looks weird.
And throwing horses. And is covered in fur. It's really the Bigfoot Titan. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So the episode ends with Miche's death and the Beast Titan sort of knowing stuff and discovering stuff and saying weird crap that should freak everyone out. And here's the thing. Let me just say, this episode is the only way to start out a second season, because realistically, the end of last season, minus the Titan and the wall stuff, they've actually wrapped up a lot at the end of season 1. They wrapped up a ton. Nice little bow on a lot of things. And they leave you with one giant question, which is like the Titan and the wall. But this episode, I remember watching this for the first time and being like, what
in the actual heck?
Crap. Which will happen many more times if you're new to the show, by the way.
This season caused me anger, anxiety, and lack of sleep.
As well it should.
Wow.
Because so much stuff.
Let's send Isayama your counseling bill after this.
Yeah, you're gonna need to.
But if you guys watched this episode, like I don't know if you guys did, but for me, I watched season 1 in its entirety. I was like, oh, that was a cool show. Oh, there's no season 2. Oh, that sucks. There's definitely a huge cliffhanger for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
When's season 2 coming out? 2 years?
You lucky pieces of crap who are listening to this right now. You don't know what it's like. You even get to watch season 3. Yay, season 4 coming up in just a few months here. You get to enjoy all of that.
I am experiencing
back to back.
I'm experiencing all of my parents' angst and me being able to watch Star Wars 4, 5, and 6 back to back to back when they waited years in between to find
them.
out.
Yeah.
Finding out
Yeah.
Vader was Luke's dad, and then having to wait for the
is that true? That's not the spoiler part, bro. You can't say that.
Right.
Sorry.
Okay. Anyway,
Saving that
we
for
can
the spoilers.
we can spoil other things, just not.
I could go on a tangent
Attack
right now,
on
but we're
Titan.
trying to get into it.
We're
We
trying
gotta
to get
stay
into stuff.
focused, guys.
So, all right, I want to comment on something. So, at the beginning of this episode, is the narrator, and she says something. She talks about, she recaps basically. She's like,
Armin
humanity.
recaps.
She
Armin,
possibly
the
he.
same
We're
voice
not really
actor
sure.
who plays Armin. We're pretty sure is the same person who does the narration. Anyway, they recap kind of the events of season 1 pretty quickly. But one of the things they say in there is that the humiliation of being trapped inside the walls was but a memory until, right? And then they show the colossal titan breaking in and so on and so forth.
Dun.
And so, yeah, that line gets me because that line has to do with one word in the English language, apathy, or maybe even indifference. But apathy, mediocrity kind of comes to mind. And it's just so interesting to me that, like, basically what the narrator's saying is that they really believed that they were safe. They really believed that everything was just fine. And obviously, without spoiling anything like that, it's just interesting because to me, like, okay, I'll just say it this way. That's what I think actual people would do. That's what I think actual humanity would do with kind of this, understanding, obviously, that it's a little bit weird that people don't seem to have a lot of memory past about 100 years ago, but they do know for 100 years they've been safe, and so they're like, yeah, we're chill. And so they just form life inside the walls, and then it takes wackos like Aaron who think, yeah, I want to get outside and go. But most people are like, no, this is just life. I think that's how it would actually go.
Yeah.
Personally.
I mean,
that's how people really are. They just get used to what's in front of them.
Are incredibly adaptable.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's the Eskimos, living in super cold temperatures, the Inuits, and then you've got the Africans living in like super hot
on the surface of the sun.
Dude, the friggin' anybody
Pretty
in the Middle
much.
East, just about. Can you imagine living in friggin'
The Sahara Desert.
Yeah.
Walking
Some
around,
Maasai
North
tribe,
Africa.
crossing it.
Aboriginals living in Australia.
Dude, Central Australia.
Speaking of the surface
people live
of the
in Central
sun,
Australia without air conditioning.
or rain for a long time.
True.
Danger.
But if you think about like any natural disaster or any group of people that have been put in any kind of stress, the one thing that drives them is they just want life to go back to normal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And any story that you see, any supernatural story, also a lot of the time the characters long for a normal life.
Yeah. And everyone's talking right now, which is
I mean, even during coronavirus,
Yeah,
what
the
do
whole
we all
COVID
want?
thing.
incredibly
We want
disgusting.
things to go back to normal.
How many times a day have you guys heard the phrase "the new normal"?
Yeah, that's exactly too many.
But essentially, what that means is, instead of having a business meeting, we have a Zoom call meeting, right?
Yeah.
Instead of having a birthday party, you have a drive-by parade,
Yeah.
which you wave and
Which
make
we
noise.
did in like 5 seconds.
So we're incredibly adaptable. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
adapt to whatever's in front of us. So I think you're 100% dead on with this. Like, if there's a pandemic, we adapt to it. If
Yeah.
there's a Titans all around us,
Yeah, that doesn't mean it's the right
We're
thing.
going to do what we
but
can
it
to
is
be safe and
what
then
we do.
relax.
Yeah, it is what we do. And then
those
they get
those happy few, the scouts who are crazy enough to
The
want
happy
something
few.
beyond being cattle.
and so the rude awakening happens. It's just interesting. Again, there's just so many parallels in the show. We've talked about this a lot, but so many parallels between. This is one of the reasons the show is quote believable. Obviously fiction. No one's doubting that. But I'm saying the show, to watch and enjoy the show is easy to do because the show is believable because people act the way that people would actually act, and people that's the
Correct.
gist of it, is the behavior not just of individuals but their words and the behavior of the group and the various groups inside of the larger Attack on Titan universe is all believable. It's all stuff that I would expect to actually occur again, like if it were all of us. So
Yeah. How many times have you been watching a show or a movie and you're like, they would never do that?
Yeah,
And
all
it
the time.
completely wrecks the show for me when a character acts outside of the arc. And it's like, if you have writers who have like developed a character, don't out of bad writing and necessity, well, what
Make
if this
them a
character
grumpy
did
old man.
this?
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm still bitter.
yeah, make him a great. Yeah, speaking of Star Wars. Anyway,
Sorry.
so this episode. All right, so to get into the meat of this episode, so it starts out with, okay, again, if you did not watch after the credits, we told you to watch after the credits for
Yes.
episode 25. Okay, of season 1. If you didn't,
You're in for a shock
that's on
right
you.
off the bat.
Yeah, you're in for a giant shock. I really hope that you did. I hope that Netflix or whatever didn't just like. Well, Netflix doesn't have season 2 right now, but I hope whatever you're watching didn't just like hurry you on to the next season.
Crunchyroll.
Yeah, Crunchyroll surely doesn't do that, or does it?
No, they don't.
Anyway,
Doesn't, don't call me Shirley.
there's a freaking Titan inside the wall. And all we see of it is the face, right? So that's kind of where we pick up here.
And it's freaking huge.
It's enormous, or so we think. I mean, it must be, because its face is near the top of the wall.
When they do zoom out where the blanket is covering, it's up really high.
Also worth noting, we mentioned this last time, is that it's got a really muscly looking face, which looks a lot more like specifically the Colossal Titan.
Yeah.
Than
and
it
Annie
does.
too, a little bit.
Yeah, the various, whatever Titan shifting folk that we've seen in Titan form
Their
so
faces
far.
be weird, yo.
Yeah, you think that his face has got to be hitting the gym. It's very muscly.
Super muscly.
It's got good definition.
So in this one, the eye actually moves a little bit, which freaks me out, because it's like, okay, this thing's like alive, and then I think it's Hange. Who's it? Who
Pastor
wonders?
Nick grabs.
Hange says,
She says, "Is this a coincidence?"
was there just one there by coincidence? Which is exactly where my mind went. My mind was like, wait, there's Titans in the walls. Okay, it couldn't have just been a coincidence. Is there a Titan every few feet? How many Titans are inside these walls?
Right.
Are the walls made completely and entirely around the structure of Titans?
Yes.
And Hanji's mind is going right there, which is why I love her, right?
Yeah.
Also, is it a coincidence that Annie just happened to climb up right where that Titan was?
It seems okay. I'll say
Did
this.
she know it was there?
Because Annie's very calculated, but we know that because of her, she's a friggin' expert level spy. But in that moment, that didn't look calculated.
No.
That was
She
running
was
for her life.
desperate.
That was a gamble. She was like, I'm gonna just freaking get out of here.
It seems to me that this is like a worms phenomenon. You ever notice you start digging for worms and you find some immediately? You're like, oh, I just got lucky. Like, wait. Or there's just so many worms under the ground
That every time you
they're
dig
That no matter where
everywhere.
you dig, you'll find them.
Which is kind of gross if you think about how many freaking millions of worms are just directly under our ground.
Ugh.
But, yeah.
Thank you for that. I'll
You're
have
welcome.
nightmares later.
I've thought about this long and hard, my friends. And so I think it's like a worms phenomenon. Like
Titans
it
are
wasn't
worms.
she just got lucky. There just happens to be Titans everywhere. But how tall are they? Because that one was so tall.
That one was almost Colossal Titan size.
My theory was, which my theory may still be actually, that if they're made of if they're made of Titans, if they're all made of Titans in the way that it kind of appears this one is that there's they form the superstructure, the internal framing of
They
the
are
walls
the
themselves,
columns.
that whoever did this did it some kind of miraculous way, and I'm guessing they're stacked, because I think the size
you got
of the
a Titan
face
pyramid going on down there.
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
no, that is exactly what I'm saying, because the reason I say that is because the size of the face of this one, this is all, anime perspective, so who really knows, but my assumption is this one is standing up, but it's standing on the shoulders of another one that's roughly the same size, so it's actually half the size of the wall, which is still big.
Or
Aren't
it just
we-
has a tiny head.
Are
Possible.
we all standing on the shoulders of somebody else?
Yeah.
Shoulders of giants. Ooh, God, this is a true salute.
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, so then Pastor Nick, who we remember from season 1, you actually get a couple of glimpses of this guy. He was remember again, he was in the courtroom.
Wall cult boy.
Yeah, he was in the courtroom.
He
when
crazy, yo.
when it was being decided what was going to happen with Aaron. He was leading the congregation that just got killed right at the end of season 1. So he shows up, throws his hand on Hanji, and is like,
Whatever
you're
you
gonna
do.
want to cover that one up, because don't buy it. Listen, just don't let it see sunlight.
He's more like, whatever you do, keep that thing out of the sun. Like he's losing his mind.
And you're like,
And then Hange gives him the death laser eyes.
the scouts lost countless lives to capture Titans and bring them back. And you
And
know what they
study them.
found out? That sunlight helps them move. And when they're not in sunlight, they don't move very well.
Yeah, so people died to find that piece of information out.
And this homeboy knew it the whole freaking time and didn't say jack. So I'm immediately like, hey,
Hange snapped.
where's the closest place I can waterboard somebody? Just a question. I need to waterboard somebody right freaking now. And it's Pastor Nick, that low scumbag. What else can I say about him?
I don't know. Keep
All
it
the
G.
bad words.
Bin Laden looking,
There you go.
just
I'm with you.
Dictator. No.
Pol Pot sounding
Uh-huh.
Maoist.
Well, yep. Stalin.
Stalin, mother flipper.
Yeah.
Biscuit licking.
Biscuit liquor, dude.
Monkey
Rotten-
Ninny mugging, all right.
Moldy-
flipper.
Biscuit liquor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so he's all those things. He's really disgusting.
But, I feel like Hange takes care of it pretty
No,
well.
she does. So there's a quick cutaway here that I do want to mention because we get to Erwin, and Erwin's really awesome. And like,
Let's go.
Erwin's walking in the hall, and they're like kind of doing the debrief thing. Like, okay, what do we do next now? What's next, sir? And he's like, he says there were only people who knew and people who didn't.
Yeah, the question is asked. They're like, we didn't know there was Titans in the walls. He's like, of course.
There were
There was
people who knew
people who
and
knew,
people who didn't.
And there was
There's two
people who
types of people in this world: people who knew there were titans in the walls and people who didn't.
Dang.
Dude,
How the frick does Pastor Nick get to be amongst the people that know? That's what I would like to know.
Where did this wall cult come from?
I-
What do they know? Where do they get their information?
Well, okay, if there are titans in all the walls, that would explain why the wall cult is so obsessed with people not messing with the walls
Yeah,
and saying they're sacred.
Sacred, yeah.
Really,
doesn't-
they're not sacred. They're just going to break apart and eat your face off if you mess with them.
yeah. They could have said better words like, hey, it's really dangerous. But it doesn't make sense why they wouldn't want Aaron to plug the walls. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's when things go off into the land of hysteria, I
I
suppose.
suppose. Yeah. You start a cult, you got to see it all the way through.
You got to believe your
Drink the
ideology.
Kool-Aid. Yeah, you got to be
Fully
yeah.
commit, otherwise.
So then we move to the spot with actually the MPs, and we see Marlowe again, our boy Bullcut
yeah.
Marlowe.
Yes, Marlon,
And,
what's her head? It's a weird name.
Hitch and Marlowe.
Good movie.
Marlowe and Hitch.
Yeah. Hitch is there, and she's actually not acting like a weirdo, which is pretty cool.
She's still got a weirdo vibe, if you ask me.
Yeah, she is, but she's one of those people where like, oh my gosh, you meet her at work and she's like so cool and so normal, and then you go and hang out at the bar afterwards, and you're like, dude, you're a freak. What?
Yeah, exactly.
That's bro. Yeah. So Marlowe's like, man, this is crazy. There's some, and they're like on cleanup duty, cleaning up all these bodies.
There's,
all these
like,
people have been killed.
arms and
Aaron
stuff and blood
two
in the
giants
street.
fought in the middle of streets, and they say, what the heck happened here? How come they're not telling us anything? And then Hitch says, the scummiest part of this whole thing is there's no official reason for these people to die.
Yeah, for a while these people died.
Like the government's
basically like cleaning things up.
is trying to cover up
Covering
the fact
things up.
The two Titan shifters erupted inside Walsena and
Yeah.
had to
Interior.
knock them out, drag them out, slobber knocker of a
Rip
brawl.
their faces off. Fight.
And then there was Titans in the walls.
And the Chinese in the was, but all of that information is being kind of like the leaders, everyone's like whisked away. It's like, gosh, it's just like something out of a Cold War era, like Soviet Union type
Cover
of thing.
up.
Like
Cover
a
up.
bomb goes off or some crazy thing happens on a street corner, and like in an hours it's all cleaned up and rebuilt. Actually, funny enough, they actually do that. That is the policy in Israel, because Israel's under like terrorist attack like very frequently. Speaking of returning to normal, this is actually one of their like policies, is that whenever something happens, it's not that they don't report it. It's not, it's all kept track of. It's not like it's not public. They do publish the information, but they make sure that there's a concerted effort that if there's a terror attack or something gets blown up or something happens, that they repair that street and that building and reopen stuff like as quickly as possible. Like as soon as investigation's like done, restoration happens like right away, which is kind of interesting.
It's kind of like my buddy's strategy. He lives in like ghetto Atlanta, and he found out that if you clean up the streets, if people don't see trash, they won't throw trash.
Yeah.
But if they just see trash, human beings sometimes are just despicable, and they're like, well, there's trash there. Who cares? And then like don't take any personal responsibility. And so they clean up the streets, and people stop throwing as much trash, which is really awesome. So it's like, hey, let's get all the rockets out of Israel, and then there'll be less rockets coming into Israel.
Coming in.
Like,
yeah, maybe
terrorists will be like, oh, there's no bombs
rockets
here.
there.
I won't shoot them. Okay.
But they're out the Jews. Anyway. So,
Why are they Italian all of a sudden? Okay, anyway, let's keep going.
Let's get the good meatball on a
Okay.
rocket. Okay.
Anyway, moving on. So
They cover up the wall.
they cover stuff. They cover
With
it up,
a giant quilt.
which kind of gives us
grannies
a.
were straight knitting, dog, like all night. Like, quick, get that thing covered up.
It's literally a
We
quilt.
need your
I was
grannies.
expecting a big white, like
Sheet.
drop cloth looking thing,
Yeah,
and it
me
is. It's
too.
a bunch of like kids' blankets, like sewn together.
Yeah,
right
you
on
think
side.
that grannies were like underappreciated in Attack on Titan? Grannies OP, dog. They saved us all. Let's never
Yeah.
forget.
Yeah, dude, let's go.
Kissed your grandma. I mean, after COVID,
Not now. You could kill her.
Yeah.
send her an e-card or something.
All right, so Hanji kind of comes in and basically expresses all like the rage that we feel
Yes.
towards the pastor dude.
Yes.
Starts interrogating him and is like, all right, asks all the appropriate questions, like, you knew this whole freaking time. Why didn't you tell us? And are there Titans in every wall? Like, she asked all the questions we were just saying, like, are the Titans made, or are the walls made of Titans? Like, you know something, because and here's the thing is, he probably could have saved his bacon here if he'd have just phrased it a little differently. If he'd have been like, remember, they're
Titans react to sunlight.
Yeah,
Quick,
react to sunlight. Cover it. Like, it would be a good idea to cover it up. But instead, he comes up and is like, let me tell you right now, like, I know something, and that something is these things got to get covered up.
Yeah, he could have really sold it better. Like, whoa, a Titan in the walls? Cover that thing up.
Weird.
That's a surprise to you guys as well as to me.
Are you shocked as I
But he
am?
specifically mentions, don't let that thing be in the sunlight. Which,
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. He screws
if
himself
he
over.
would have said,
Gives it away.
use different
So
words.
Hange just grabs a dude, starts his like pumping him for information, and he's like, he doesn't respond. He's like, I'm gonna, I lost people in my congregation. I have to go tend to them. Like,
I'm gonna make you pay for this.
It's like he's on an interview. This is a typical like politician thing to do. You ask them a specific question, like a yes or no, and they're like, "Well, you see, my record shows that," and then they like go on some tangent.
I have plans. Yes, and speaking of plans, let's talk about the plan for the other side.
It's a total
what they've
misdirect.
done.
Or you like accuse them, or you say something like they've obviously done wrong. It's like in the public, and they're like, "Well, I have bigger matters to attend to than my affair with so and so," and you're like,
The real
okay.
issue here is the people. And you're like, oh, okay, bro.
So he pulls that move, and then Hange does what I wish I could do in those interviews. She like grabs him and like hangs him over the edge of the wall. It's like, let you go? You mean like this? So you want me to drop you right now?
She pulls a Batman.
Batman.
Well, she
Jason
also
Bourne.
says, I'm not asking you, I'm ordering you. Tell me what you know.
Yeah, she says, do you know how much blood we have shed to take back our freedom from the Titans? I would have shed my own blood. And I'm ordering you right now. And if you don't talk, I'll find someone else who will. Your messily life won't make up for much anyways. Your measly life won't make up for much anyways. And she goes to like pull a Spidey or Batman, interrogate, and just drop a guy, dangle him. And homeboy's like, yeah, I'm good. Go ahead.
Let go of me.
Okay, he's screeching in tears.
Joker.
He's afraid.
But he's a little bit Joker, a little bit terrorist, like...
You-
Go ahead, and he says something very interesting. He says,
I think
Kill
he's
me and
martyr.
learn.
Well, he's more of a martyr than he is.
He's a little.
He's
a little
he's
weird.
scummy. Don't get me wrong. He's totally scummy. But what I'm saying is, like, I mentioned this before. Okay, so in this whole scenario, he's like not begging for his life, but he is crying for fear. He is crying for fear, and then he out loud basically commits himself and says, I'm not gonna like. I'm gonna. Hang on. Where's this quote here?
He says, "Kill me and learn."
Yeah, kill me and learn. We will fulfill our duty without fail. Speaking of probably.
Yeah, and then he lets go dramatically.
The wall cult. Yeah, he's
And
like, let go of me right
shaking.
now. Do it, and like, he's like, I've accepted my fate, and like, I've determined to die for this cause. That's really
He's
what he's
got
saying.
conviction.
That's
of
what it
he's
is. He has some kind of conviction.
And you're like, bro, this is weird. Just tell people what's going on so we can all be on the same page together. And instead, it's like he'd rather die than tell you anything. And that makes me want to hurt
extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
And how does he know something that like the finest minds of the day don't know?
And
yeah, hundreds of years of research and tons of
experiments and all kinds of stuff.
At least 57 expeditions under
various commanders.
I think yeah, that's a good question. Were they all under Irwin, the 57, or were this is all just period from the inception? But at the least, a ton of expeditions, a ton of people's lives lost. Think about, our friends. Gosh, if I could think of their names right now, it'd be really helpful.
Judy, Jenny, Jill, Jonathan, Jack.
The hand bite crew.
Oh, yeah. The scouts who all died defending
Petra
Aaron.
and all of them.
Yeah, Petra, and think about
Eld.
Yeah, Eld and Commander Irwin having to like come back and see their families.
Oh,
think about that when you think about how we don't have that information and somebody has it and won't freaking give it to you because.
Yeah, it's gross.
So then we flash back in time.
12 hours ago.
12 hours. So this is probably happening right around the time that we know Aaron and Jean and Mikasa and Armin were going to go sneak up and try to get Annie, lure Annie.
Yeah, so roughly concurrent with the plot to capture Annie is the events, as I mentioned in the recap, the events of this episode. Well, specifically the events involving the scouts who are left over.
Yeah.
So,
and we care about them. They're not just leftover scouts. Like, we eat them second meal too.
Yeah, totally.
But they are,
they're
not part of the main mission. They're part of the secondary missions.
And we eat people now.
So you got your boy Connie,
dude. My boy Connie.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, you're gonna like the guy even more pretty soon.
Sasha, Potato Girl.
Sasha,
Reiner,
the anime version of my wife.
Yeah. You've got who else is there? It's pretty much
They pretty much focus on those ones.
Krista is there. Ymir is there.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember. There's a couple other people, but
some familiar faces.
The cadets
all of which
from the
we get.
104th.
The cadets from the 104th. So these are the cadets from Eren and Mikasa Army, from their group. These are all the cadets we've seen. We've seen them in combat, but you've seen all of them early on in season 1 when they were training.
Yeah.
So for sure, every face is familiar.
So because they were in a stage where we didn't know what was going to happen with Eren, didn't know if they were going to have to be turned over. We didn't know if the plot with Annie was going to succeed. We didn't know anything. Commander Erwin sent one of his section commanders,
one of
Miche,
the finest,
over to watch over these guys, and they're not armed. They're in kind of plain clothes, so they don't got their scout gear on.
They're not allowed to train.
They're not allowed to train, and they don't have any weapons, and they're all kind of just sitting inside. Like, kind of looks like Hogwarts a little bit.
It does, actually.
They're all kind of looking out a window, and then like, outside the window are
Sasha
people,
looks like she's going to die any second.
Of boredom.
You could tell she hasn't had any like meat in a while. Like, she's no potatoes.
What about potatoes?
Yeah. But they look outside. There's guards outside that are in full gear that have weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryder makes a good point. He's like, "What? Why are they out there with full weapons? We're like inside wall rows.
Yeah.
What are they
expecting to happen here?"
He says, "Who are we fighting?" And Connie's like, "Well, there's bears in the area." And Reiner's like, "Guns take care of bears." And I'm like, "Hang on a sec, bro. You've got muskets. You're going to bank your life on a musket versus a bear? Because I don't know what kind of bears Isayama is like dealt
Have you
with.
not read Undaunted Courage? Lewis and Clark? Dude, they freaking knocked down some big game with a musket.
With a 9mm, you ain't dropping no bear. Like, you got to take a lot of shots at a bear.
Yeah, that's because it's moving too quick. You got,
with a 44 mag? Okay, now we're talking bear stoppage.
Muskets are 75 caliber, though. These are big, honking freaking pieces
of
lead.
How much powder is behind that? And they're not...
as much as you can pour in the barrel.
They're not rifled. You're not going to get impact. What kind of what kind of
That's true. George Washington did, that's true. George Washington actually survived multiple gunshots by wearing, get this, leather. Anyway, I'm just saying I'd rather have a can of bear spray than have some muskets. I'd give me the ODM gear any day. Like, Reiner is putting his fate way too much in the hands of some musketeers. Wait. Are they muskets? Are they muzzle loader muskets, or are they just single shot rifles? Because they kind of look like they could be.
I suppose we don't know exactly where they're at with the whole.
Okay, but bears aren't the concern.
But they're saying bears aren't the concern. But
so
I'm
back
saying,
to
look,
the main
if
point.
I just had a musket, I'd be concerned about bears. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
So anyway, they're not really worried about bears. Ryan's trying to figure out, like, well, what the heck is going on? So can we unpack this a little bit without getting into spoilers on this?
If we tiptoe.
Okay. I just want you to put your you who are first timers, put your thinking cap on here, and I want you to ask those same questions. Okay, the scouts, only the scouts who were specifically in Eren's cadet group, and not Armin, not Mikasa, not Eren. So they're all off still.
Not
with
Jean.
Erwin and Levi.
Not Jean either.
John's with him.
Oh, that's right.
John's with the others.
So
you've got
he's dressed up as Horseface.
That's right. So those four were all part of the plan. Those four were all part of the plan to try and capture Annie. So they were in on it. So the rest of the cadets from Eren's group, we don't know if they were in on it. We don't really know what they know, actually. All of those ones specifically are locked away, unarmed, kept with guards. Guards not trying to guard them against bears, but guards with ODM gear, Titan killing gear. So Reiner and the gang are trying to figure out, okay, wait, are we here for like debrief, or are we like prisoners right now?
Yeah. 2 and 2 does not
Seems
quite
like
equal
mostly
what we think
Reiner's
it
the only
is.
one that's trying to figure that out.
Well, because he's
me.
probably the only one smart enough, because everyone else
the
is
other
like,
ones are like, let's
I
get out
miss
of
home.
here.
I could sneak away tonight.
Yeah.
Like,
Connie and Sasha mentioned that their villages are really close. Connie says, my village is right to the south. Sasha says, my village is like, not
the
too far
north.
away
Yeah.
from here. I want to go sneak out. Connie's the one that's like, I want to sneak out. Reiner says, I'll help you sneak out, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And then he
Okay.
starts going on about, like, what's really going on
that's when he asks
here?
the questions.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, the reason, again, this is just worth noting. So these guys have all, what they're debriefing from is not the events of what just happened with, with Annie and the you plan to capture her. Like, they may not know that plan even exists, because this is concurrent, right? This, scene of them talking is happening roughly at the same time that the plan is unfolding. So it would stand to reason that they may not know about it, and that the thing they're debriefing from is the mission outside the walls that they all just came back from.
Yeah. Or they're just simply waiting on the results of the Annie operation to find out if they're going to be able to continue under Irwin in command.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like something else is.
It seems like there's some greater suspicions. Now, I'm just going to say this one because if you haven't figured it out.
The eye.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to say this one out loud, is that at the end of season 1, Irwin was like, I'm convinced basically that there's more, there may be more of these Titan shifting people in our midst. And so, perhaps...
And we find out immediately right afterwards, because Sasha, of course, being dramatic, lays her head on the desk.
Just like that.
Which amplifies her hearing to an insane degree. And she hears footsteps. Now, what kind of footsteps can you hear inside of a building?
It's like putting your ear on the train track.
Yeah. You can hear Titan footsteps.
Yeah. Oh, it's like Jurassic Park. It's like, yeah.
We're going to need a bigger boat. Inside wall rows. Titan footsteps inside wall rows.
So, of course, they all tell her she's crazy, and then they cut to the roof, and we have Mr. Super Sniffer go, I smell Titans.
I smell me a Titan.
I
caught that one on 9 meter or so.
And sure enough, they see a group of Titans, dumb Titans, of course, rushing towards their fortress, and Miche's like,
coming from the south.
You need to immediately send troops out and go tell Irwin that there is Titans coming from the south.
Well, he actually says what point we were just making.
Exactly. And
he says, tell Irwin, I think it's safe to say there are no Titans inside the 104th Cadets.
So they were being held because they didn't know who to trust.
They don't know who to trust. They think there could be another shifter, or who knows, inside of Aaron's group specifically, which is an interesting proposition.
I think they probably would have checked all the groups.
They would, but the reason they're going to check this one is because this is one Annie was in. Annie was from the 104th. Did she have accomplices inside that group?
We don't know what they did with the other groups.
We don't. I'm saying. That's true. That's a good point.
In my opinion, right after the last council they had in the last episode where they said, hey, we think there's other Titan shifters in the walls, I'm sure everyone's going on lockdown.
I would have started with the MPs. I'd have been like, listen, you scumbags.
I would have started just sticking those MPs in prison and then being like, oh, you're not a Titan shifter? Too bad. Stay in here. You know? Sorry. Except for Marla, you're cool. So they're like, there's Titans inside wall rows. Tons of villages are completely exposed. We've got no scouts. Yeah. We're the only ones out here.
Yep.
So
remember, there's only 3 walls. One of them was compromised at the very first episode. So this is.
So number 2 is probably compromised, and Miche is like second command. Starts giving a speech. She's like, we didn't even figure out the truth behind the Titans. We don't know why they're here, why they want to kill us. And sure, now is our darkest day. Humanity is going to lose because the second wall has been breached. All of us are going to die. There's no way to really get out. Yeah. And Miche is a gun. And first of all, he's dispatched scouts to go run and tell Irwin. Second of all, he's gone down to the window and he's dispatched somebody to let all the people inside know, hey, there's Titans coming. We don't have enough time for you guys to get your ODM gear. Get on your horses. Evacuate all the villages in the area. We're going to try to save as many lives as we can. And he turns to the lady who's giving him all the lip about how humanity's come to an end.
She says humanity has lost. Like, this is it. Like, we're done here.
And he says, only when a person stops fighting do they truly lose. As long as we can keep fighting, we are not beaten.
Dude, this is it. This is the spirit of Attack on Titan.
That's right.
This is the spirit of the good people. Tatake. Fight. If you fight, you can win, right? Yeah. Remembering back to Eren and Mikasa as little kids, you know, being captured and like that's like the whole like premise of the show. You miss 100% of the shots, you don't take. Yep. And here we have another character reinforcing the same kind of guiding principle here, which is no matter the circumstances, no matter how lost it may seem, like you contribute your part. You will contribute your part, no matter how insignificant it might look. Even if other people think it's all for naught and it's all a loss and these sacrificed lives mean nothing, even if that's what the naysayers say, like if you fight, you're not beaten yet, which is true, which is entirely true. So, yeah, so they ride off, and well, this is also worth mentioning. So the scouts that he was there guarding, trying to make sure, like, okay, none of them get away. We need to investigate these people. He like goes, okay, well, F
We're
it,
gonna
guys.
die
Like,
if we don't do something.
we're dead if we don't do something. Like, and a lot of the other people are going to die. So we don't have time to give you gear. Here's some horses. You're going to have to go out and be messengers as well. So all this whole group rides off together, and they start formulating their plan while they're on the horses because they're literally being chased away by Titans.
How do they not bite their tongues when they're doing it?
Because they're better than...
Only some people are prone to that.
So the good news for them is they've got two people who actually know the lay of the land really well.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Connie and you've got Sasha who are from that area. So they're like, hey, we know the area really well, and we can go out and we can know the shortcuts and we can run around. Right, Connie? Sasha says. Connie just looks and he says,
Poor kid.
my village was from the south.
That's where the Titans came from.
That's
that
where
they
the Titans
saw.
came from. He says, please, once I get you guys to your areas, can I go see my village? Miche says,
Let me go home. Yeah.
yeah, kid. Yeah, you're good. And Reiner Braun says, hey, Connie, I'll come with you. And Connie's like, bro, like this is where all the Titans are probably going to be. It's going to be the most dangerous. And Reiner's like, hey, I was going to help you sneak out too. Like, I'll come with you. You'll come too, right, Berthold? Berthold's like, yeah, I'll come. So like, we got some like bro
He's a
squad
little
going
sweaty.
on.
He's like, okay.
Yeah, he
I
doesn't.
guess.
He definitely looks a little unsure of that decision.
So we got a little bro squad. Like, let's go to Connie's village. Let's see if everybody's okay.
Yeah.
And in the midst of this,
That's when, holy, it's such a weird. It's like a scene from a good zombie movie. I don't know if I could say good and zombie movie at the same time. I'm not really into zombie movies myself, but right as they say this, you see some of the Dun Titans kind of waddling
all
around
in
like
unison
normal,
stop
and then
and freeze, and then they turn their head and just go berserk, weird, like abnormal craziness.
dance recital time.
Yeah,
Go berserk.
they like flail, and one of them like goes in a circle,
does like a
and-
360, like
and then they start running, like
So they start-
sprinting,
not just running but sprinting a while,
like they're
actually,
drunk monkeys or something.
Yes,
It's like someone said, like, there's only one more roll of toilet paper in Costco, and they all just
They
like,
became crazed maniacs trying to run. Yeah.
so they'll start sprinting at the cadets who are trying to go, evacuate and get the word out. Miche, as the hero that he is, the gun that he is, yeah, salute to you, dude. Who's the guy? He picks somebody, says, all right, you're in charge now. Take him to the south, like go do the mission I just told you. And he rides off by himself. Now, if you remember, he's one of the top ranked scouts.
So that rando guy, whatever his name was, tells the others, they're like, he's going alone,
And he's going as bait. What is he doing to try and take? And it's actually what he's going to go do. He's going to go out there. He's going to put himself in danger. He's like an incredibly well-versed scout. He has a bunch of kills under his belt. He's going to go try and take care of a few of them. One of them, do whatever he can, basically buy some time for the rest of the scouts to get away and get the word out. Again, this is the man with like the fight in him. Like fight even when it looks like it's lost. Like do it anyway. So he goes out there. And he freaking wrecks one of them.
Well, the random guy, whatever his name was, tells the others his skill is second only to Captain Levi.
That's
and
a
then
freaking
he starts
compliment.
doing some crazy stuff like skiing across the ground with his feet and stuff.
Can I just say that I don't know if that guy's met Mikasa though.
yeah, I mean, she's still young. Remember, she's
Mikasa
still
doesn't
young.
have that
She's
reputation
coming
just
up.
yet.
But she can twirly whirly with the best of them.
She can, but Miche holds a lot of his own, and he goes out there. He risks his own life against what is like 9 Titans,
something
Yeah.
like that.
and
Seems like he whittled them down to 5.
I once heard somebody say, no truer love has one than this, to lay his life down for his friends. And here you got Miche out there. Hey, you're in charge. I'm going to be a good leader. I'm going to lead by example. I'm going to protect everybody. I've formulated a plan. You guys know what to do. And I'm going to go make sure you guys can get as many lives saved as possible, even if it costs me my own life.
Yeah.
What a boss. So he's out there twirling and whirling, skiing, flipping, slipping. He loves orange slices.
Dude, he's the
Yeah.
ultimate fruit ninja. This
Mhm.
entire show is all about the fruit ninjas.
Sniffs himself out some good fruit and just freaking cuts it
Freaking
up.
wicks him. All right, so right here is when we get to a cut, and I actually want to go with the flow of the show here because this feels right. Because there's this cut, like we see Miche swing into action, and then it kind of like pauses, and then what we get is another flashback. And these kind of flashbacks to pre-walls being broken down are precious to me because they're few and far between, and like you only get so much of this, and you want to like glean all the info you can. So
It's like that time in like those RPGs you used to play where like the starting village was still peaceful. You know, the great
Oh.
evil hadn't come yet.
Yeah.
You know, and you could go talk to people and everyone was happy and the music
oh
was
dang,
upbeat.
dude,
And
Chrono
you know,
Trigger.
as soon as you leave, as soon as you go out on your mission,
Huh.
as soon as you go to become a hero,
It's all going to burn to the ground.
it's all going to burn down.
You're going to lose your mom.
Just never.
And the world's going to
Just never want to
aliens from another dimension. So, all right. So this one is Aaron and Mikasa as little kids, and Aaron runs up to his mom, and he's like, looks a little beat up, basically. And she's like, Aaron, you got in another fight? I bet you Mikasa had to rescue you again, which is hilarious.
Mikasa says nothing. She just
Spoiler
folds
alert.
laundry.
Yes.
And she doesn't say anything, and she like hands her some lunch. Arigato. So then, I believe her name's Carla,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
Mrs. Yeager.
Yes,
Carla Yeager. She leans down to her young son, and she tells him,
as she's cleaning the smudges off of his face.
she's cleaning him up. She says, no matter how cruel the world is or how much you hate somebody, you can't just go in head first. And it's like, little does she know, like, the kind of advice she's giving to this little Aaron. Like, she knows how he's wired, and she's thinking of him as, like, you know, don't get in fights with other little boys. What she doesn't know is that one day he'll be, like, Titan-sized
Punching
and
his
just,
arms
like,
off.
yeah, punching his arms out, going ahead
Saving
first.
humanity.
Like, now, he does take the advice to an extent, because remember, when he's with the scouts out there in the woods, he actually does have the restraint.
Yeah.
And like doesn't go in headlong.
Yeah.
He actually has a little bit of restraint. Now, still his MO. So she tells him that, and then her next line she says, You're a man. Show some restraint. I love that line.
Get him.
She says, one day you're going to need to be there for Mikasa too. So again, a lot to go off of on here, just morally speaking. But that line, like, you're a man, show some restraint, as if to say that that's what a man is. Like, in a world right now where masculinity is like all but lost on nearly everybody, Carla Yeager nails it for us all, nails it for young Aaron. Have some restraint. Like, basically, like, you need to have, like, you need to be in control of yourself. You need to have control over your emotions.
Yeah.
You need to have control over your desires, right? You don't just get to go have sex with every girl that you see. Okay, you don't just get to go beat up everybody who's younger or weaker than you. You don't just get to go walk on somebody that you, like, disagree with, no matter how cruel, no matter how much you hate them. Like, having that kind of restraint, that's what a man is. That's what she tells him. Like, you're a man, and one day you're going to need to be there for Mikasa too.
Yeah, she's bringing up a trait which is largely lost on us. Something called meekness, and everyone thinks that meekness is weakness. It means being quiet. It means being humble. It's like, that's actually not what meekness means at all. What meekness means is the ability to do something and having restraint, choosing not to do it, right? The idea, like, the picture is like a sheathed sword, right? So, like, I have the ability at any point to whip out this sword and do some damage with it. But I get to choose when I pull it out. My emotions don't get dictate that to me. Some bad guy is not going to dictate that to me. I get to choose when I pull it out. If you never pull out the sword, it doesn't matter. It's like you never had it in the first
pacifism.
place.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
That's nothing. You didn't have power to begin with.
If you don't have a sword to pull out, then you're just a coward. You never have anything to actually threaten anybody. But
Or
if
a
you have a
poser.
sword and you're constantly having it out, you're just a rage maniac.
Well, yeah,
you're running in
you're
headstrong.
just a threat. You're just a terror. You're just as bad as the next guy. You're just
Right.
violent.
But if you have a sword and you sheath it and you know, hey, guess what? This guy's running his mouth off. I'm not going to fight him. I'm not going to get set off by some guy's foolish words. I'm going to choose to walk away because I've got a sword, but I'm going to choose when I'm going to pull it out. Nobody else is going to dictate that for me. And that's what she's telling Aaron. Hey, Aaron, blessed are the meek. You need to be meek right now, bro. You need to learn when to run in and when to not. When to be aware, when to not. When to pull that sword out, because there's a time and a place. And this time, you're always running headstrong and you're no better than anybody else. You need to be a man. Show some restraint. Be meek.
It's amazing. I really do love that line.
It's a good line.
So then, you know, this is a little flashback, maybe been a dream or something of Aaron's. I don't really know, but Aaron wakes
He wakes up, yeah. So
this is like precious. Can I say that word in regards to Attack on Titan? This
Sure.
little scene is like precious, where he wakes up next to Mikasa, and he sees the scarf. Y'all remember the scarf that he gave her?
scarf.
And he like kind of stands up, and then she wakes up, and as she starts to wake up, like the scarf like kind of falls off of her hand, and she wakes up and is like, oh, you know, my scarf. Like, that's the first thing she noticed. Like, oh, my scarf's gone. Aaron has it, and he's like, you know, this thing has seen some better days. Like, I'll get you a new one. I'll get you one from, you know, the armory or whenever I see one next. Basically, I'll get you another scarf. And
She's got this look on her face.
She had a sewing kit sitting next to her. She had fallen asleep mending the scarf.
She's
the
got
emotions.
She's got this look on her face like, you idiot. It's not about you getting me a nice new one. It's the fact that this one means so much to me. It's because you gave it to me on that night when you became my family. And he just I'll get you a new scarf. Like, it's not about the new scarf, okay, bro?
I wonder
Okay, in his
if
defense, he's oblivious, but he is still being thoughtful.
Yeah, he is a teenage boy, so we got to give him a lot of credit because he doesn't know
yeah,
what's
I wonder
going
if
on.
he doesn't know at all.
The significance of that scarf.
I don't
Yeah.
think he even understands anything about that level of female yet,
Mm-hmm.
because he constantly treats her like, "Oh, you stupid big sister, you're always on my case," and she's like, "No,
You're not my mom.
I love you.
I freaking love you, yeah.
Yeah, I'll die for you."
Oh,
And
they
in
can't
this
end the
moment-
show without Mikasa confessing her undying love.
or
Right?
Aaron, like
Or Aaron
recognizing
figuring out,
it at
yeah.
least and being like, "Hey, I respect that."
If this were a rom-com, that's exactly how it would be. Is like Mikasa's like the dumb sister the whole time. She's like the grumpy one in the corner, and then it turns out at the end she was actually always there for him. You know?
Yeah, but in this dream, he remembers what his mom says. You have to be there for Mikasa too. And it's a beautiful moment because he's like, "Oh yeah, I've been actually a complete jerk to you like the last 8 episodes.
Tried to kill you.
Took a swing
you
at you
know?
in Titan mode because you said some stuff that I didn't like, and you've always been on my case. And like, you know, it's because you love me. We're family. We got to look out for each other. My mom said I need to be there for you too. That's part of being a man." So Aaron like is starting to have those feelings. Be a good protector, Aaron. Protect your friends. Care for your friends.
Yep.
Don't just disregard their emotions. And it's a beautiful moment in the midst of all the terrible tragedy going on.
So this is the point at which Armin busts in the room and it says, you know, they've broken into Walrose, and so this little scene we just watched that suggests that this scene was basically like this was current time.
We have
This
caught up to.
Yeah, we've caught up with reality. We're not in
parallel
the
timelines
12-hour
now.
flashback yet. So he breaks in and says, all right, you know, basically they've broken through Walrose. How does he know that? You'll remember Miche dispatched somebody to go to Irwin right away and say, Rose has been compromised, let him know. And so that's the news that's quickly spreading around camp, in the interior, I guess, of Walsena.
Yeah.
So then we cut back. Well, let's see here. Nothing important happens there. All right, so then we come back to Miche. So Miche, rocking and rolling, freaking kills one of his titans, swirly whirly. No problem.
Orange
Fruit Ninja.
slice out of the neck.
He realizes, like, okay, well, these ones aren't really going after me right now. I think I've bought enough time, is what he says. So he whistles for his horse. And as he does, he looks off to his right. And I love how they so casually, like this part, you're like,
Just introduce you to this monster.
I've seen this. It still caught me off guard.
Yeah, I'm like, this is how the intro goes for
Well,
the beast
I mean,
Titan?
he's describing how these other Titans aren't doing anything, and then he's like, but that one. And then he looks, and there he is in all his horrific glory.
He's the Bigfoot Titan, the
17
Sasquatch.
meters, which
He's a big
is
one.
taller than
Bigger than Aaron.
just
A lot
about all the other ones. And covered in fur with abs for days.
And the longest arms you ever did see.
Seriously, and his eyes are like freakishly small for the size of his face too,
It's
and
like
they
he could
glow
play-
this weird yellow color.
He's the Sasquatch.
It's like he could play
He's
jump
Titan.
rope with his own arms.
He has like
That's really
sharp
weird.
teeth. Yeah, his arms look really weird, and
Yeah.
he's just kind of
Lumbering
like
along.
casually taking a stroll in
Yeah.
the sun.
And so Miche notes something here that the dude, the Titan, whatever, is walking like all chill. He's like, he's just walking around. He's not like actually coming after me or anything. I don't know what the story is. I'm concerned about this one. And right as he says that, his horse, whom he's whistled for, is on its way. He's like, oh, you know, basically, here comes my horse. Like, good, yeah, I'm ready to get out of here. And Sasquatch Titan freaking turns around, long arm, just like reaches out of nowhere
Snatches.
and grabs the horse.
And
Which-
immediately starts squishing it, and it's like blood and guts are coming out of
Which
it.
horses are freaking majestic and amazing. How dare you put
How
your hands
dare
on it?
you.
Your filthy Sasquatch hands on
Oh
a
my
beautiful
gosh,
horse
I
and
know,
squeeze
it's
some
pretty
blood
bad.
out of it.
And the horse is like crying out in pain. And I remember the first time I saw this, I thought this exact same thing I thought this time. He's going to throw it. He's going to throw it. Please don't throw it. Please be wrong. Please no.
Horses
threw it.
are not for throwing. His
No.
mom didn't teach him.
That's right. There's a children's book out there waiting to be written called
Horses are not for-
Horses Are Not
I
for Throwing.
legitimately have
They're
said
for
that
riding.
to my students with the toy horses. Horses are not for throwing children.
So Homeboy does throw the horse. He throws it with insane accuracy, and it almost kills Miche.
Like a baseball, but
Yes.
it's a horse.
And horses are not very aerodynamic. So I
No.
don't know how he gets the,
Yeah,
he gets
yeah.
that
Turns
curve
it
on this
into a
thing, like-
missile, basically.
Maybe he got a spiral in there
Maybe.
somehow.
He
Maybe.
basically turns the horse into cannonball.
With his crazy long arm.
Miche with his cat-like reflexes barely gets out of the way, rolls and looks up and is like,
He gets like thrown across the roof. He has to like jump and dive at
gosh,
it.
yeah, he's like, He actually slides down the roof.
Yeah.
I noticed because there were so many shingles that were destroyed. In the way
So
down.
many tiles
Oh,
coming
man,
off.
you
Let me tell you,
roofers.
replacing a tile.
Don't get nope. We're gonna stay on target.
Tile roofs are great, but
So now Miike's on the ground with like a jacked up leg because he just fell off a roof, which by the way is not a good time. I wouldn't recommend it.
yeah, in
Doesn't-
Call of Duty, it's fine. Real life, not
Doesn't
so
he
much.
fall? He falls from the roof into the clutches of that little big-headed weirdo.
Yeah,
Titan.
I think
And it munches on his legs.
doesn't he get the? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
just
No,
falls.
he
He
rolls
falls into
right
the mouth.
into
You're
its mouth.
Yeah, so he's not only not up where he should be with a good aerial position, he's not only not like with his great ODM gear skills, he's just like fallen right off this thing, almost died, and now he's in the clutches of a gross fathead Titan, and it starts to bite him, and he's freaking out and screaming, and it's like, oh, this could be the end for our hero Miche. But we hear a voice.
Stop.
Wait.
Wait. That's what he says.
Yeah. Wait. And we zoom out, and who is the voice?
The voice is Sasquatch Titan.
I just put in my note. Beast Titan speaks. Like
Beast Titan speaks out loud with his mouth. Like we've seen other Titan shifter folk. We've seen Aaron. We've seen
they've
Annie.
screamed.
They make noises, but they talk to themselves
They
internally.
have
This one
vocal
talks
cords.
out loud. Not just he talks out loud. He talks to what is definitely a dumb Titan and tells it what to do, and it listens.
It obeys him.
It obeys his very command.
With a human in its mouth. The thing that they live for.
So
Even though they don't need to eat, it has what it desires most literally in its mouth, and it stops.
Like a really well trained dog.
Or a
all of
robot.
season 1, what are the Titans?
We don't even friggin' know
in
anymore.
the middle of season 1, there's people inside some Titans that could transform into Titans. End of season 1. There's Titans in the walls. Season 2, there's a freaking Titan with fur on it that looks like a monkey that can freaking speak and somehow
Command
communicate
Titans.
to other Titans. What the crap, Isayama? Like this, so like all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I got all this information. What should I do? Just dump it in season 1. Just
dump
throw
it.
it out there.
Just dump the whole thing.
It's just crazy. So the guy starts to actually chew on Miike's leg, and he says, "Didn't I say wait?" And he grabs him and like crushes
Pops
him.
his head
Pops
like
his
a
head,
grape.
his eyeball, like almost comically,
Ooh.
in a creepy, gross way.
And then he begins to like speak in his giant, gross
He's
Sasquatch
staring at his steaming hand
Titan face
like a
to
psychopath.
Miche. What is that weapon called? And he's pointing to like Miike's like ODM gear, right? And Miike's like, understandably
He's
so.
awestruck with horror, and he's just like,
Because that's what I would be. Like, wait a second. You're a giant beast titan. Second of all, you can talk. Third of all, you can talk to other titans and they understand what you're saying and somewhat obey you.
fourth of all, my leg is half broken off and
Yeah,
just
that
laying
kinda
next
sucks.
to me.
I'm kind of in shock and probably have a minor concussion. Could you give me some aspirin?
I just want to, if y'all are Bible readers, I just realized a connection here. So in the Bible, people have encounters with angels or like with Jesus, post resurrection and things. And they always says that like they were like in great, fear, great awe and wonder and so struck. Like Ezekiel can't speak. Like many of the times,
Throw themselves in the
especially in the
ground.
Old Testament, people like
Please
see
don't kill me.
angels or they see the Lord and they can't speak at all. I'm like, this that is what everybody does in the show when they see a Titan for the first time, or in this case when they see the Beast Titan for the first time. It's the same reaction of like,
The thing that gets me about this, all that comes next to, is he is second in skill only to Levi. He's seen a lot of Titans. He's seen a lot of combat. He's seen people get bitten in half and heard them screaming as they die, and he is scared right
Yeah,
now.
well, ain't nobody seen nothing like this.
scared speechless.
I mean,
literally.
not only did he just get munched on, but a Titan is speaking, and it's almost like everything he thought he knew is just on fire in his mind right now.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know what to do or think.
So then the Beast Titan proceeds to blow our minds as watchers because he continues to talk to him and he says, what is that weapon called? The thing around your waist that enables you to fly around. And then Mika's like, doesn't say anything, and he goes, I'm certain we speak the same language.
He sounds so
WTF, mate.
intellectual.
He does.
Yeah,
It's
I feel bad
freaking
because
weird.
Mika's got the exact same reaction as like me around like any girl when I was like younger. Sorry. Words, stuff. I don't know.
I can't do it.
Yeah. And so then he says, maybe you're not answering because you're so scared. I guess that means you know that we reside inside the nape.
Well, no, he says the swords. He goes, I see you have swords.
Yeah.
He goes, that must mean you know that we reside inside the nape, like the back of the neck.
Then he says, is this when he says, I didn't think your technology had developed this far? Does he say that?
Well, more or less, but
I'm putting it in different
We're inserting
words.
that. Yeah, we kind of inserted that. But he says to him, so he takes the gear from him. That's what happens next. Like Miche doesn't say anything.
He's gonna die.
Yeah, he thinks he's gonna die. Beast Titan reaches down and with his gigantic hand just like pinpricks this tiny little ODM gear.
Miche's screaming.
Yeah, he's freaking out because he's gonna freaking die. Which
Poor
I
Miche,
would too.
man.
So again, at this point he's on the ground, right? Because the other little Titan that had him in his mouth is dead. Well, I assume he popped its head off.
Yeah, it's dead.
I'm gonna go with it's dead. So
there was a steam.
he takes the
Kyle.
ODM gear from him, and then he goes to just walk away. And Miche's like, he's walking. Like what? And then he's like, if you don't fight, you don't win. Like
Yeah, his own words come
like
back
so
to him.
long as we fight, we are not beaten. And he stands up and he like yells.
He
Does
doesn't
actually say
stand
anything?
up. He doesn't stand up because he can't. His leg is broken in
Just
half.
gives
and
kind of a battle
he
cry.
just starts screaming.
Yeah. So he says, yeah. Anyway, he says some stuff. He says a large yell.
Internally, yeah.
And he says, so
He takes
has
his
that,
swords out, right?
yeah. So he takes his blades out. He's like, I'm not beaten yet, and he goes basically to go after this Titan that's just like taking his gear, but he has no ODM gear. Like I don't know what he's thinking. Like what are you gonna?
He's
like,
not really.
He's just
cross
thinking
this
like,
guy?
hey, I'm still not beat yet. I'm still alive.
I'm gonna go out fighting.
Yeah.
I would have tried to live to fight another day.
But you got to remember, he's surrounded by four other Titans
Who aren't moving?
True, they're not moving.
They're
but,
not doing anything.
But there's no guarantee that's going to continue to be the case.
Yeah, that doesn't last.
Regardless, what happens is he screams. The Beast Titan like turns around.
He
like,
screams at the Beast Titan.
Oh.
Like, come back here and fight me.
You're
Almost
screaming at me,
He goes, "You can move now."
and all the other Titans
Swarm
are like almost unfrozen,
like
Yeah.
piranha.
and they just grab him and start
It's
biting him.
horrible.
And the Beast
It's
Titan
gruesome.
says two things that are very important. He says, so you can speak. The second thing he says as
As he
he's
starts
looking at
saying,
the ODM,
no, please stop. Yeah.
he looks at the ODM gear and he says, what a clever idea.
Yeah, I must admit, what a clever idea. Holy smokes. All right. This one opens up all the doors. We cannot speak much. I want to let the imagination of the listeners go off on that one, to be honest.
I will say this, though. So,
I hate that guy.
yeah,
Oh, same.
flipping Beast Titan Sasquatch killing Miche,
I hate his ever-living guts.
bad dudes. The other thing is, you remember in the earlier episode in the forest, Levi said to Aaron, I never really knew what was the best advice, whether to fight by myself or like let my team kind of like fight with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I still didn't even know, right? And Aaron says, I should trust my team and things go really well. And then he says, oh, no, I shouldn't trust my team when things don't go so well. And he says, I should have done this or whatever. And Levi says, like, look, I still don't even know what the right decision was. And there's kind of this idea about that good advice is good all the time. And Aaron's like, that's not really true. And here, Miche earlier said something that was really true. Hey, you guys, as long as we keep fighting, as long as there's breath in our lungs, as long as we can fight, we're not beaten and we're still in this. And it rallies everybody. And then here Miche is at the end, probably should have like been quiet for a minute and like maybe try to get the information out to the next line. Like, I just saw Titan. He talked. He looked like a beast. He knew about our language.
He controlled the others.
He controlled the other Titans. He took my ODM gear. He's probably some kind of spot. I don't know, like, what is going on. But instead, he thinks, oh, yeah, that advice was good earlier. It must be good advice now. And he decides to try to, like, battle challenge this thing, crippled as he is, without ODM gear. And it turns out really bad. It just brings up a good point, is that good advice is not universally true.
Yeah.
Mm.
Good advice is...
It's relative.
It is indeed relative. See, here's the thing is, good advice is, relative to the situation that you're in. And this is this is what wisdom is.
Yeah.
Wisdom is, when do you apply said advice, said words, said truths, said techniques, whatever it is. When you do that, it is essentially the decision making, the
Discernment.
Yeah, the discernment. It's the process of doing that. And yeah, the advice of like fight, live, the Aaron's thing, like, Mikasa, fight. You need to fight right now. And if you fight, you might live. And if you don't fight, you're definitely going to die. But if you do fight, you might live. Like, you might have a chance. Like, fight for your life right now. That's okay. Do it.
Yeah.
In that situation, he's 100% right. But there are other situations in which, no. Like, listen, the best wisdom is
to retreat.
Cut your losses, retreat, and come back harder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that could be a really good advice for another time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's advice. To fight is advice. They're both advice. What makes them good? The situation that you're in.
And wisdom is what allows you to pick the better one.
Yeah. And so in our lives, we don't take one piece of wisdom, one slogan, and take that and just mass apply it to every situation we're in. That's not how our world works, because there's different situations, different things at stake, different circumstances or conclusions that could be made, right? So instead, what we need to do is we need to have wisdom. We need to have our different ideas, our different strategies, and we need to think about our different kind of like doctrines or what we believe. And then as situations arise, instead of saying, well, my only thing I can do is run headlong into a fight
without using my brains,
we can look back and say, maybe discretion's the better part of valor right here. Maybe I need to like lay low, right? Like, Aaron, right? We got to fight if we're going to win. Well, guess what, Aaron? You didn't have to fight all of those bullies all the time and get beat up. Like, there was times where you needed to stand up and fight.
You could have walked away.
There's other times where maybe you needed to walk away and be smarter. And this is a time where Miche is realizing after the fact, unfortunately, that, hey, man, what makes advice good is the situation and the wisdom applied in it. Not it's just blanket good advice, right? Mm-hmm. Nike, just do it. Well, when it comes to methamphetamine,
not drugs.
Don't do that, bro.
Don't do that.
Right?
Or prostitution, or
that's a
sex trafficking,
whole list of things.
Don't just do
a
it.
big leap there, but yeah,
shouldn't just do. But then there's like other things. It's like, hey, maybe I'll just jump into this pool. I'll just do it. Maybe I'll take a chance with this date. I'll just do it. Or whatever it is. It's like, yeah, that could be good advice, but we don't just blanket apply that advice. We want to have wisdom in our decisions. And here we see good advice in one situation turns to bad advice in another.
Yep.
The distinction factor is the situation itself.
So with these wise words, we leave you. If you are a first timer, we thank you. Seriously, thank you for watching the show.
Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah, seriously.
Into season 2. Let's go.
You guys are the freaking real heroes here.
Shout out to Hong Kong.
Dude, yeah. Free Hong Kong. So thank you guys for watching. Please send us an email, beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com, with your thoughts, comments, concerns, ways that you think we could improve the show, or your own ideas and theories. I would actually really love to hear from you. If you have not... if this is your first time through and you're kind of listening along with the show, if you're kind of using this as a companion to the show or something like that, I'd love to hear from those people specifically. What are your theories? What are your ideas? Hey, even if you've watched it all the way through, what were your theories and ideas at this point in the show?
What was your reaction to seeing the Beast Titan for the first time? Because my mind was blown. I'd waited 2.5 years.
I'm pretty sure I screamed.
Oh, yeah. My jaw was literally open. I was like,
I think we paused it so we could all freak out.
Yeah,
What?
we paused it so we could freak out and then be like, wait, this means, and this means this, and this could be. Yeah.
There was a lot of yelling that day, sir.
Indeed. So I want to know where you guys are at, what your thoughts are on that. You can hit us up, of course, in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, which we upload to Beyond the Basement Podcast, or YouTube / Beyond the Basement Podcast.
Yeah, and if you're streaming with us live on Facebook, leave us a comment real quick. Just letting us know you're showing up. We appreciate everybody along for the ride.
All right, so with that, this is your final warning. We're about to get into the spoilers, and let me just tell you, the rest of the I don't even know, dude. Doing a spoiler-free section of the show is going to be difficult for the rest of season 2, but especially this episode. So, all right, here we go. Countdown from 3, 2, 1.5. Please put your phone back in your pocket. I'm giving you some time. 1. God, spoiler!
Spoiler alert.
This one
Okay.
is like freaking. Yeah, I do. I do. These jackets are a little small on us. This one is like. Isn't like you left the last little bit of your milk in the glass out and it's like spoiled. This one is like you put a freaking gallon of milk out in the sun for 2 weeks.
That's disgusting.
That's how spoiled this spoiler section is.
Like your milk is not chunky, it's hard.
It could kill an
God.
entire village.
Yes. It has turned into
Like
a foul
frickin'
cheese. All right, so first spoiler is I don't know. Is there okay? I can't get to a first spoiler because it's all spoilers. Okay, I'm gonna go according to my notes. I'm gonna try not to get into too much craziness too fast here. So Titans in the Walls. Let's just start there.
Okay.
There's a spoiler. We notice a spoiler happens in this episode, which is
Yeah.
technically not a spoiler because it's canon because it's happening in the episode.
But I think they got these things mixed up, man.
I think they must have.
They
I swear on my
leaked too
life.
much. ACM leaks too much accidentally in this episode because we're not supposed to know until like 3 episodes later what happens.
If you're a manga reader, tell me, please let us know. We haven't gotten to this part, but if you've read through the manga for this, is okay. Let's spill the information. I just want to know if this is in the manga. So there's a little one of those public discourse, available information to the public, little in between clips here on the show, and that clip actually says that the Titans or that the walls are in fact made out of Titans, and they're made out of Titan skin. It gives that part
There's
away.
like an image of a hand holding the crystal substance.
Yeah, holding the crystal substance like the Titan hardened skin.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
and that's something that Hange has to do a bunch of research to figure out. And so this was information available to the public.
What?
When did that become available? Years later?
Again, if this is in the manga, so be it. If that's just part of it. But I feel like they messed it up in the show because you go through much toil in the show to discover that information later.
It's a big breakthrough. Hanji comes through and is like, "Oh my gosh, I just found this out."
Yeah, well, it's her and Armin or whatever discover it. The other thing is it's interesting watching this because these are the only 2 episodes where they actually show the Titan in the wall. And then it's, a full season, 2 seasons later, basically, where we find out that the founding Titan put these walls together. And again, there's this mysteriousness and in a magicalness or whatever to it. But seriously, how did he stack them and then kind of use some Titan, what's the stuff you put in between bricks? Mortar? Did he use some Titan mortar to kind of form the outside? How did that work?
I think Titans are kind of like Legos, he's got a Lego Master Titan thing going on.
I think it's interesting. If that is the case, then this power displayed by Zeke obviously would have needed to be used. So he can tell them exactly what to do.
Was there?
Well, it just makes me wonder if in 100 years past, if the people of Marley were involved in the building of the walls, using their Titan powers to help control the dumb Titans and build the walls.
Don't
Maybe?
know.
I don't
What about
know.
the fact that
Maybe that was part of their piece that they broke. Who knows? I don't know.
What about the fact that somehow, out of our earshot, the Beast Titan is able to turn all of these Titans into what we would call abnormal Titans, but maybe they've just been given a command.
Yeah, it seemed like they stopped and heard something and then switched. It was like a switch in their brains got flipped.
Because what the show shows us is them pausing, and then they start to
And then
run.
they
So
tweak
is
out.
that just because they heard something? Is that something subsonic? Is that something the Beast Titan can
Well,
just emanate?
elephants can do that. They can send out.
Those Titans that they were looking at that ran after them were a decent distance away.
So maybe
already.
the Beast Titan was in earshot of them.
So he was maybe within earshot, or maybe
and
because
said, "Hey, run after those people as freakishly as you can and do a little twirl around."
become abnormal.
I guess.
Or is there a mode where Titans do go abnormal?
I don't know. This is a really good question. Why is he able to speak? Why are all these obviously it's part of his unique. The talking part I think may actually be unique too.
I think so because Aaron, I
Beast
don't
Titan.
think can talk in his Titan form yet, at least. And then Ymir even tries to talk, but she could only say really basic things.
He
And
can
she's
full
been
on
a Titan
speak.
for a long time.
Mhm.
Maybe she's not
But
as
she
well
hasn't
trained.
shifted a lot, I don't think. She may have been a Titan for a long time, but the majority of that time she was a dumb Titan, and therefore she was dumb.
Right, but I think
And
she's been a
couldn't-
Titan shifter for at least 5-something years.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
but even so, I don't think she
Well,
had a
she's
ton
been
of
one just
experience
slightly longer
training.
than
Yeah,
Aaron.
maybe.
And Connie's mom is going to speak in
Yeah.
the next episode, and she's a dumb Titan.
Yeah.
She's not a shifter.
And remember that Titan in
And
the
she says,
OVA,
"Welcome home."
Yeah, true.
the OVA Titan.
That one talks too.
Yeah, so
Oh,
is it
weird.
just
And
maybe certain
Hange-san
Titans?
says they have vocal cords and should be capable of speech in one of the previous
Yeah,
episodes
so
when
it's
she's
just a
talking
brain
about
thing.
them. I think Aaron could speak. I think Annie could speak. They just choose not to for some reason.
Well, I think maybe a skill thing too. It may just be like they have to figure out how to do it, and they just never figured it out.
It's a greater measure of control.
But if even the dumb ones can do it, then it's just something. I think here's my theory.
You have
on
to
this.
want to communicate to be able to do it.
My theory on dumb Titans is they were never supposed to exist.
They were always supposed to be like weapons of war, like shifters.
They were always supposed to be shifters, and
Makes sense.
It was a fluke that they found out that if some spinal fluid got into a regular LDN, it would turn into this monstrosity. And that's why they're all different sizes. They're like, some of them are bulbous, some of them can't even walk. It's because they were never supposed to be like that.
Yeah, it seems like some of their bodies, like their head grew faster than the rest of them, or
and that's
something.
also hypothetically why some of them have greater access of their faculties, and some of them don't. Some of them know
Maybe
things.
some of them have higher concentrations of royal blood in them than others.
That's another thing I was thinking, is maybe the ones who can talk are ones that have
Closer to royalty.
Yeah, because
Which
think
would
about
mean
that.
Connie's mom was closer to royalty, possibly.
They were supposed to, the royal ones were supposed to be Titan shifters, period. The rest of the world, really, maybe only those clans were supposed to be Titan shifters. So maybe only those clans, if you're in those clans, you have a natural affinity to be able to use your powers better.
Interesting.
Which would give credence to the fact that Annie could be part of
the royal
a certain clan.
Royal clan, perhaps.
Interesting.
Okay, so let's see here. I wanted to make sure there's so many.
You want to jump to another one?
Okay, I want to jump to, just because there's a lot to talk about here. So I was trying to lead the first timers to this conclusion, because you you actually have enough information here. But so Reiner. So when it comes to the scouts and they're all stuck, they're under lock and key. They are in fact being guarded, but the reason they're being guarded is because between Armin and Erwin and the whole gang, they have figured out that that Annie was in Annie and Aaron are both shifters, and they were both inside of the 104th Cadet Corps, and so and not only that, but they're saying that the people, when they're trying to figure out that Annie is who is the female Titan, when they're trying to figure it out, because I think it's one of us. One of the things they discover is okay, it had to have been somebody who was there the day that Aaron did the shifting or whatever, and so that limits the number. That limits it pretty. Which is why Jean should be. Jean should be under investigation.
They know it's not Jean for some reason.
How?
I don't know if they even know it's not John. I think they were like, hey, we'll keep John where we can see him. We'll keep him under close lock and key.
I guess. Maybe he's just he's what they had on hand. They needed somebody who looked like Aaron.
You remember later on they said that Reiner and Bertolt said they were from the same village as Annie said she was from.
So
that probably was their initial thing. It was okay, these guys could be Titan shifters. Now I don't think they honestly know who's who. I think they're I
don't think so.
Put everybody under lock and key. I think
that's why they're all under lock and key. They're trying to figure them out, right? And what is there anything suspicious about these other people, basically? And so because Sasha's in there, Connie's in there, these other people who are way less suspicious.
Erwin says that he only had people on that mission that were above suspicion. So why is Jean?
Why is Jean above suspicion?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if they explain that. We may have found a hole. It's possible. There's very few of them in the show, I think. But
John also attacked the female Titan. Reiner looked like he did as well, so he might have been
exactly.
ruled out by the same way.
Yeah.
But he also almost died by the female Titan. He also I don't know. That's a good question. We'll have to see.
It makes me wonder. I kind of want to think back now.
The other thing is, Jean was there that day that Aaron transformed the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And he's in the 104th. I mean, I'm just saying, it's weird. So, nonetheless...
Theories. Let us know if you know.
Yeah, if you guys know.
What have we missed?
Nonetheless, what actually is going on here is that, Reiner is starting to put the pieces together. I've actually been noticing this the whole time, that he's actually starting to, he starts to figure out that the thing with Annie is a trap. Oh my gosh, wait, we're not going where we're supposed to go. He starts to figure it all out, and he has to kind of obviously he gives Annie the information as to where Aaron is and all that jazz. But in this one, he's wait a second. We don't have our weapons, and we're in plain clothes. There are people here, and they're expecting to fight a Titan, not a bear. They would have guns if it's just other people or small game. They're expecting to fight Titans. Do they think that they're he's starting to put it together? They think there's more Titan shifters, and specifically in this
He's
group.
way more paranoid. Bertolt is kind of
he's just quiet.
Honestly, I feel like this is the first glimpse we have that Bertolt is starting to lose his crap.
Yeah. Do you guys notice what they're doing while they're waiting Bertolt and Reiner?
They were
What?
playing a game.
Playing chess.
Oh yeah, playing chess. Yeah, they're
that's what
trying
I
to like
thought.
moves and counter moves.
Isayama, bro.
Dude.
Dang. Okay,
They're
so but
playing
also
chess.
think about this. They say in relationships, like the people that cheat are the people that suspect everybody else of cheating.
Yeah.
Reiner's like uber paranoid because he's
a cheater.
He's a freaking cheater. He's
he's also, spy.
and he's constantly like, they're spying on us. We're captured.
Yeah.
Like he's also the leader of these, small core of infiltrators we know now. And so he's like constantly like, is everything okay? Are we going to the right place? What's going on with Annie? Like,
Yeah.
we need to get Connie. I'll help you sneak out, bro. Yeah, because I care and
And
stuff.
so the beauty of the story, if you can call it that, the cleverness of the story is the fact that you're watching it the first time through. A lot of the things that Reiner does makes you more fond of him. It actually draws you in. You're like, oh, he cut himself out of the hand of the female Titan. Like, wow, look at that. Look at his skill and his heroics, and like, look at how he's like, taking Connie under his wing and like being a good guy and all those things.
I remember actually feeling more endeared towards him. Like, oh, he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
it totally worked.
he's like a great leader and so on and so forth. But
he's a scumbag and I hate his guts.
Every move he makes is just basically it's all manipulation.
He's very calculating.
Okay, I don't think it's all manipulation because he's got that split personality thing where he wants to do the right thing. He wants to be his countryman, but also
a lot of it's manipulation.
I think a lot of it is manipulation. He's a double agent. He's trying to play it really well.
Yeah.
And remember, like I was ready to play this guy for Halloween. I loved him so much.
So they're
he betrayed us.
They're putting the screws to him. What am I trying to say? They have these guys. They have the scouts under lock and key. Those who are guilty, like Reiner,
and Bertolt,
feel the walls kind of closing in on them. Oh man, I sound like a CNN anchor. It's the beginning of the end. The walls are closing in. Anyway,
another bombshell.
Seriously, what the frick is going on in the 104th? I'm sorry. Continue.
How many Titans can you have?
So many.
So they have. He kind of basically is the reason I'm saying it's important. The reason I'm even bringing this up at all is you could figure this out just watching the previous episodes. If you're very like astute, you could be like, oh, he's suspicious that, and then they actually drop the line, like the Miche actually says, like, tell Erwin, I don't think there's any Titans in the 104th, or I think it's safe to say there's none of them here. He's only saying that because he's like, oh my gosh, there's Titans inside of Wall Rose. Like, what does it matter anyway, basically? And so he says that, but I think this is part of the reason. The fact that he knows they're closing in on who the shifters are is why Reiner later on makes the choice and goes, I'm just going to freaking tell Aaron right now.
Yeah,
come
I
with
think
us.
so too.
Yeah.
Because he actually kind of just goes, listen, they're closing in on us anyway. They're going to figure it out. So I'm anxious to watch the rest of the season up to the point where he confesses to see if there's other clues to Reiner going, oh crap, well they're going to figure us out anyway. So we may as well just go last ditch here and just spill
I remember
the beans.
when he did that, the first time through watching it, I remember thinking he seems so defeated. Like he was just giving up.
Yeah, it does. It seems like he kind of like played his hand too soon.
And from that point on,
he
Reiner
gambled.
seems a little bit depressed and subdued. And
I'm wondering why he wants to, by choice, take Aaron, and by choice take Krista, and by choice take Ymir, instead of like, hey,
forcing
I can
them
do
to
whatever
come.
the heck I want. I'm a giant Titan, and me and Bertolt here can wreck
Ymir
cities.
With Ymir and Aaron, it's hard. I mean, Krista, it's whatever, but
It's true, but he just tries to talk everybody in, and I'm like, wow, I kind of like that.
That makes me wonder if he believes in his cause that much.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why we want him to turn.
Villains just do whatever they want, but somebody who actually cares will try to talk to you about it first.
Yeah. And he's, of their people, so to speak. Like, he's also an Eldian, and there's sort of this brotherhood thing that we're, like, trying to count on. Like, please, like, anyway. So, let's see here.
That's the same thing that makes him want to volunteer to go to the Connie's village when they're on the horses.
Yeah, he wants to go with them.
Hey, Bertolt, do you want to come? Random Bertolt that we never do anything together? Yeah.
So, okay, I have written down here. So, this is an interesting point. So we've talked about this. Again, we'll explore a lot of this more in the future episodes. But Bertolt and Reiner don't know that the Beast Titan's there. They're actually surprised to see him. So I was discussing the theory that like maybe they gave them a time limit and said, "Hey, we'll come like check in on you at after so many years." But I don't think that's the case because they're surprised to see him. The other thing is that the reason we know this is going on is because Reiner and Bertolt are just as surprised they see the dumb Titans inside of Wall Rose as anyone else.
Yeah,
and so they're like, "Well, we got to go try and figure out like." Because we didn't break the wall. We're the breakers of the wall. That's what we do. Somebody else
What's
was like,
going on? Who else is here?
they think the wall's broken. They don't know that the wall is not broken.
Yeah, I think they're like, did Annie do this? Like,
Right.
what the heck? Because they've obviously got a plan. Otherwise, they would have continued to break down Wall Rose. But
Sure.
they chose not to because something else happened. What happened? They
Aaron.
saw Aaron,
Yeah.
right? So they're currently trying to find out more information. They've got their anti-ploy, and they're trying to capture Aaron and do so in a very like cloak and dagger way. Well, busting down the wall is not part of their plan, so they'd be very scared as to what's going on. So it's definitely interesting seeing this from a second time.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot more detail to like get into, or a lot more like nuance, especially with that. Let's see. Not sure if I had anything else. I mean, spoiler: Beast Titan is in charge. He is Zeke.
War Chief Zeke.
War Chief Zeke. I'm not sure what else to say. Oh,
I
actually,
hate
no,
his
we should
freaking
comment on
guts.
this. No, this is the perfect time.
He's a scumbag.
He's a scumbag.
I want him to die.
So we were talking about this. So he shows up. We've talked about this a lot, actually. He shows up and doesn't know that much about Paradise.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know they have ODM gear.
Yeah.
Which means they've developed it so that 100 years has been an actual 100 years of no communication.
Yeah.
They didn't have anybody inside the walls.
And think about even when we go into the basement, we see what Grisha says. Like, we know that like, that information is like at least
like,
13 years old.
Yeah.
If not possibly longer.
It's going to be more than that. Yeah, we don't know how long.
Well, for sure longer because he has a 17-year-old son.
Right, and he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's at least that long.
Well,
at least 17 years
like
old.
12-year-old son when the wall breaks. He's like, kid.
Yeah, but I mean, when we finally find the book, it's been more than 13.
Oh, right. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. But so that information is, close to 20 years already
Old, yeah.
old and outdated. And so how much has things changed in Marley
Since they
since
disconnected?
Since Zeke
or,
left.
But
yeah,
how much more has stuff changed in Eldia because no
Grisha.
one's been to Eldia
to Paradise,
Paradise and for forever, right? And so
yeah, no one's been there. So they don't know what's happened.
4 kids in completely with
Blind.
no information.
They
Nothing.
are. That's a good
completely
point.
blind into go
Into
take
the
out humanity.
unknown.
So,
Yeah.
well, here's the thing: is go take out humanity. Go get us the Attack Titan and possibly even the Founding Titan. Like, go acquire the power. I think that's the mission.
Go find the coordinate.
Go find the coordinate, exactly, because they say that they're looking for the coordinate.
Founding Titan, I'd say royalty is probably there.
Sure.
And anything else you see.
So your mission is not just destroy humanity or to knock down the walls. Otherwise, they would have only done that.
But that was one of that's what they say that their mission was when they're first confronted. They say our primary mission was to destroy humanity. And you're like, that's kind of a big mission there, bro.
Aren't you part of humanity?
So, yeah. So they didn't know anything though. They didn't know anything. They didn't know there was ODM gear, right? And then even Zeke says, "Oh, you know that we reside in the Nape." It's like, bro, we just found that out like a week ago. Okay,
Yeah.
we don't know anything
No,
yet. Actually.
Hours ago, basically. Yeah, at that point, yeah.
We don't know anything about Titans. We just found out there's
It was
Titans on the
all-
walls.
Theory until Annie friggin' transformed.
So Paradise is like way behind on the Titan front when it comes to information.
Well, yeah, the
But
Titan shifting thing, yeah,
Marley is way behind on how
On
far
the
Paradise
technology
has come. Yeah.
and the technique and stuff like that. Yeah, he doesn't know, and so like he says, yeah, the ODM gear is always the part that gets me. He's like, I have to admit, this is a very clever idea. Like, he doesn't even know. Like, they found, like, he doesn't know what they don't know. They don't know what he don't knows. He knows. And when Miche dies, all that information dies with him.
Yeah.
It's very
So
frustrating.
It is.
So the other thing you got to wonder is, we know because of season 4 that Marley is like at war with like other nations.
Mm-hmm.
What kind? And the other nations aren't segregated. They're not isolated.
Seem
They
like it.
should have.
As far as we know.
They should have equal or greater technology at least than Marley, right? Unless they've been completely oppressed by Titans like Paradise has, which is possible.
Sure.
But if they haven't, they would have equal or greater technology than Marley does, which means that they would have the opportunity to invent Titan killing technology because necessity is the mother of all invention. You invent what you have to.
Unless
right?
they've kept, so maybe back in Marley where they have Zeke and the Shifters, they've kept it a secret that they reside in the Nape.
Yeah,
see what I'm saying?
but what
Like-
I'm saying is that they have been using Titans to go occupy the whole world and make war. So my guess is at some point some enemies have risen up to like fight them. What kind of crazy inventions have those enemies dreamed up to fight Titans? Like, why do you invent sticky bombs? Because there's tanks around.
Yeah.
Right? Why do you invent the Marginal line? because there's all these tanks that came at you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to continue to invent and create based on what your enemy is. So my guess is there are other civilizations who have created Titan fighting gear, but the ones in Paradise are actually like very specific and very unique. And even Zeke is like, wow, it's very clever, I have to admit.
Yeah. So how does Zeke in the walls? They didn't answer that.
Why is he in the walls?
Why is he in the walls?
Well, I
How
mean,
did
he's
he
pretty
turn?
tall. He probably just climbed over with his giant monkey arms.
Maybe.
I mean, Annie was able to climb, so maybe he's able to climb, but like no one noticed.
Doesn't he climb over later one of
He
the
can
walls?
command Titans. He just had made a human pyramid.
Okay.
How did he
World
get
War Z style.
9 humans either injected or infected or whatever?
Not just those 9, all
the
freaking
whole
Connie's village is more than
all
that.
transformed
You're
at the
right.
It's like
same time.
dozens.
How did he get all of them to transform without killing himself? Or was he in Titan form the whole time?
Personally, you ever seen that X-Men where they come up with a cure to like demute to turn them back into regular people, and at the end, like the soldiers, the final battle, like the soldiers who are rushing in aren't using guns because Magneto can control the metal or whatever. At the end, the soldiers rushing in have rifles that shoot syringes full of the serum that turns them back into like normal people.
Okay.
So my theory is that Zeke has a shotgun that shoots out syringes full of Titan spinal
Do you
fluid.
think the
think it's
bipedal
more-
Titan was with him?
Oh, maybe.
That would make a lot of sense. How he was able to get stuff, and because he didn't have anything on
Possible.
him. I'm like, where was he
Yeah.
carrying those syringes?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, maybe
He has like a
I
giant
still
Titan
think
suitcase.
that poisoning the water source is the most
That's
logical.
what I thought, but
yeah.
Or
Yes, they
some
do.
kind of mist that everyone breathes in while they're sleeping.
We'll see. We'll
As
see.
Rod Rice does just
So,
ingest.
those are our theories about the Beast Titan so
Yeah.
far.
We'll have to unload more of this as the season goes on, but we're gonna have a lot more.
I can't wait till Levi jacks him up.
I know, dude. It's the sweetest part of the whole show, basically.
So good.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. Again, hit us up on YouTube. Hit us up on the Facebook. Hit us up in the emails.
the
Again,
things.
specifically you manga readers. Maybe fill us in a little bit. Don't spoil anything, but fill us in a little bit. beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com.
If you want to give us a 5-star review,
Yes, please
Apple
do.
Podcast or whatever podcast tool you use,
Especially if you're a regular listener.
That'd
that
be
would
awesome.
appreciate it. We'd appreciate that. And if you want to just leave us a little comment of what you like about the show, appreciate that as well.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we did it. We made it season 2. We're going to try and speed through this one, do all 12 episodes as quickly as we can so we can get into season 3 and get freaking ready to go through the monstrous season 3 and prep ourselves for season 4.
Let's go.
Oh, man.
Come around the corner.
Here we go.
All right, guys. We'll see you next
Cheers.
time. Thanks again for watching and listening. If you're enjoying the show, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. If you're really loving it and you want some extra cool content, you can join our Patreon page over at patreon.com/beyondthebasementpodcast. Check the show notes or our social media pages for links to some really rad Attack on Titan merch. All right, guys. See you next time.